Hey guys, it's Jet888 here. Good morning. It is 7:25. Well, it's 8:36 on 7:25. That's July 25th. I'm finding this site pretty interesting. It's at liveuamap.com, and I just happen to be looking at California right now. We looked at that Peck Park shooting yesterday, but what I'm finding, this is weird because this fire here, it says the cause of last night's fire at former Casa Robles, an abandoned restaurant at 3839 Washington Boulevard, remains under investigation. The fire was contained to the building of origin and extinguished within 90 minutes. No reports of injuries to firefighters or community. Anyhow, so Casa Robles, let's look at there. The name, so Casa Robles means house oaks. So they've got some weird things regarding oaks, because also here's another fire with the word oak fire. But when I mapped this 3839 Washington Boulevard and looking at the Casa Robles restaurant, here's my little guy right here at Google Maps. And I just thought this was interesting because here's where this restaurant used to be. See, there's a Spanish, you can see there's a little Spanish style restaurant there. But when you look, the Xfinity people have moved in here, and here's one of their mast cell atrocities. So I think that's funny. There's a fire, and all of a sudden, the Xfinity people move in. Let's get a little closer. There's Comcast. There's the Xfinity vehicles. They're all over the place. They're all of them. This whole parking lot's full of these Xfinity vehicles, where the restaurant used to be. So we're on Maury Avenue, but Casa Robles was right there. See, we're right here at that restaurant. And here are those oak fires that yesterday, I believe it was Texas, that was showing oak fires. Not the oak fires, the Yosemite being on fire, and they showed that as being in Texas. So this is just weird to me. Believed to be the glow in blue box. So oak fires, firing op in progress between Silva Road and Dara Road. Between the oak fires and the Casa Robles fire and that Peck Park shooting yesterday, where they're tying a yellow ribbon around this big old oak tree. Are any of you old enough to remember this song, Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree, with Tony Orlando and Dawn? It's So Single by Dawn featuring Tony Orlando. And what's interesting, there's tune weaving. That's weird. So I'm kind of the belief that we're always being shown things for a reason. So why this? Why such the big production of this? So in the Tennessean, they had a story about this song and what was behind the Tie a Yellow Ribbon song. And here's this guy, he's showing as above, so it's coming from above, so that could be the controllers. And notice that big NSAI in your face, we see AI, but also that could also be, if you look at the anagram, a sin. So you just mix the letters around, so a sin. So this guy is telling about tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree, which, let's go look at that real quick for the gematria. This is a long one. So the first thing we see, 2506, this isn't even in the gematria database. Sometimes that tells me they don't want you to see it. So interesting, the first three things that come up under this 2506 are universe, queen, gene, ancient female human body. God has chosen you a holy woman and very powerful. So the first thing that comes to my mind with that. That's interesting. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris named Times Person. Shouldn't that be Persons of the Year? So that was December 11th, 2020. And it's interesting here, this is, what does that say? I'm forbidden from seeing it. Isn't that funny? Look, November 7th. There's the 7 that just keeps coming up. That would be 7/11. So 7/11. And I want to look at the simple gematria also, which is 399. And the first thing that comes up is a storm is coming, you must hurry. So that's that. So I keep continuing down the story about the tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree, and I see Erwin Levine, and that the reason why this stood out was because of the Levi Strauss that I covered a couple of videos ago. It was this video, the Cobalt Build one, dumped Trump on July 21st. And San Francisco came up, and Levi Strauss came up, and the Golden Gate Bridge came up, which is in San Francisco. And I looked at the Golden Gate Bridge, and the anagram was bagel dot gene grid. And the bagels are considered a toroidal bread roll, which the word I looked at, toroidal, and that was of or relating to a shape like a toroid, but this video was cut off a little bit, and that took me to this shape, which took me to this map that looks like the Rupus nigra, which is black rock. Black rock, it's a black magnetic rock. That's the spelling of it, Rupus nigra. The Rupus nigra is black rock. We know who's running this world right now, right? Or I guess I should say who owns mostly everything. And it talks about the rock's circumference as 33 degrees, or they considered 33 French miles. So the number 33 is significant. And I only bring that up because this incorporates the 33 in here too. He talks about, so the next morning I drove the 33 miles up to Erwin Levine's house. So we're going to look at Erwin Levine. And Erwin Levine is he's a co-author, co-wrote the song Tie Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Oak Tree. And it's interesting because he was born March 23rd, which is 323. And he died at age 58. That's pretty young. So here's a picture of him. I'll get a better picture. This says, Peace Now leader Professor Gaia Golan congratulates Erwin Levine, or Levin, must be a different name, but 117, But looking at his name, the anagram, it's new in viral. In viral, how do you say that? But do you know what that means, in viral? Deficient in manhood, unmanly, effeminate. What's going on now, I wonder? Have you guys noticed lately? Deficient in manhood. Probably from all the soy in people's diets. And yesterday I covered these executive orders. So let's look at Biden, some of his executive orders. And here's from the White House. President Harris hosts a Roe versus Wade roundtable. Here's a fact sheet. President Biden to sign historic executive order advancing LGBTQI equality during Pride Month. Now this is June 15th. President Biden believes that no one should face discrimination because of who they are or whom they love, since president, even if that's a child, right? Like in a different, not a mother-parent love, but a man-boy love. Since President Biden took office, he has championed the rights of LGBTQ, LMNOPI Americans, and people around the world, accelerating the march towards full equality as he sends billions of dollars for a war to kill people. So he's got the back of the LGBTQI people across the country to continue to fight for full equality. So let's just look at this real quick. Jewish gematria, the number's 208. Can you believe that this is not in their database? It will be. So interesting, the very first word that's the numerical equivalent to LGBTQI is the 1. It's also boobies, or should be remove boobies. Interesting, it's also pipeline. Do you know what Project Pipeline's anagram is? Project Pipeline is inject people, RIP. Have we seen enough of that? So 208 is also female gender. We can go look at the simple and English gematria because they are the same. They always end up being the same words. So 40267 of LGBTQI. It's also I am karma. So this is kind of funny because if you mess around a little bit with this lettering and making that I look like an L, it could look like that. Mr. Kamala. I thought that was kind of funny. Huh. And you know what else Kamala Harris's name can be? Is malaria shark. It can also be La Sharia Mark, like La is in the feminine of the. That's her first name, or her full name, I'm sorry. Kamala Devi, you're missing that L there, Harris. So there's her full name, Kamala Devi Harris, a Sharia devil mark. Kamala, there's our Sharia devil karma. And that may also be a little concerning because they're pushing this Biden being sick, and his doctor writes this letter for full diagnosis. And this is one more interesting thing. So the subject of the letter was President Biden screened positive for SARS-CoV-2. Look at this. So we're going to go back this morning as part of our routine screening program for the president. This virus was detected by antigen testing. You know what that is? The PCR, right? Polymerase chain reaction, PCR testing. So this is just something from the CDC. So I just keep wondering what this buildup is all about. What is it leading to? Why are they showing us this? Is it because she is going to move in? But heading back to this map, isn't it interesting how this area, basically Silicon Valley, is seeing some activity. Now here's a fire at Mountain View, and one thing I want to talk about the word mountain. Lawrence Edward Page is the owner of Alphabet Inc., YouTube, and Google. And here's Silicon Valley's stocks. Look at that. Oh, they're going way up. That's today. Isn't that interesting how when our little special virus broke loose, how all of a sudden the profits have just skyrocketed. And I actually want to look a little bit more into this Silicon Valley area. So the Silicon Valley is the northern region in Northern California. It serves as a global center for high technology and innovation of the San Francisco Bay Area, and I think that this is going to be our demise. These techie people are going to be our downfall. Here's the anagram I found for Silicon Valley is sly eco-villain, or El Coy villain, like the coy villain. Here's one. Let's see, there's Richard Hendricks, founder and CEO of Pied Piper. Pied Piper, a person who offers others strong yet delusive enticements, such as a leader who makes irresponsible promises, that which draws many in its wake. And do you know that this story, Pied Piper, is actually a true story, and it dealt with all these children who went missing? So this was actually a real story. It's based on a real story. And it was in Germany, of course. Let's see. It was in Hamelin, Lower Saxony in Germany. And the piper who promised to get rid of rats, he got rid of the rats, but also it says returned and led the children away. I think there's like 130 children that went missing. July 26th of 1284. But when this story was really looked into, I'm going to read here if I can read between. Hang on. So of the whole town's children, only 3 were left behind, and that was, according to this story, a deaf one who couldn't hear, 1 child was lame and couldn't keep up, and 1 was blind, couldn't see where the other children were going. And this story says that the records don't, it shows 0 rats, like there weren't any rats. This says 130 children born in Hamelin were seduced and lost at the place of execution near Kopen. A 1384 entry in Hamelin's town records also grimly states it's 100 years since our children left. This story goes on to say that it said that the rats were absent from earlier accounts and only added to the story around the middle of the 16th century. Moreover, stained glass window on other primary written sources does not speak of a plague of rats. So there was no plague of rats, but 130 children did disappear from the city on June 26th in the year 1284. So when they refer to themselves as Pied Pipers, and even Bill Gates was in on it, he said that this slipped away from him. He would have liked to have purchased this company, but somehow he said he didn't. Somehow it fell through the cracks. He couldn't see it, but he wanted to buy this company. And remember that whole little debacle when he was pied in the face? This is Gates. It made the news over and over again. Pied Piper. And this was during an interview with Time magazine that he was talking about this. It says, it's truly the end of the old Microsoft Corporation. And I noticed how in this article they had the word is twice, which I thought was weird, which is playing a key role in global health initiatives. There's a lot of stuff to this article, but this was it about Bill Gates leaves Microsoft board. And just looking at both those words put together, I don't think that was an accident. Is, Beast 3, Big Pharma, Apple Inc., and Sacrifice, but spelled wrong. But there's a story done about this company, of these people who created the company called Pied Piper. And along comes Pied Piper out of nowhere. Here is some of the gematria that I got from Pied Piper. It's God reigns, hidden deities, rare blood, Alpha and Omega, and Ray is God. I think the Ray part, where I see this a lot, is due to like the 5G, the frequencies. So one news channel, or maybe more than one, but one that I saw that covered this, Pied Piper, it's on channel 18 News, and it says Pied Piper Net to launch tomorrow. PiperNet, and it's a YouTube video on it. Talks about PiperNet to launch tomorrow. And here's a just a screenshot of a news article it was a news reporter talking about tomorrow at noon the Pied Piper app. And look at what's behind her, the Golden Gate Bridge. So let's see, Pied Piper and AT&T to launch tomorrow. Major new tech tomorrow. So what happens here on this date? So, showing the San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge, which we discussed in my other earlier videos. This is a YouTube video, Silicon Valley, 10 years later, the extended Pied Piper documentary, and this went off on December 15th, 2019. What happened the day after December 15th? The day after these guys launched their Pied Piper app. Well, here's an article, Wuhan market vendor, likely first case of COVID, scientist says. This was webmd.com, and it says right down here, it was corroborated by hospital records. It says COVID-19 onset date as of December 16. And this news article, she was saying the day after December 15th was when Pied Piper app launches. So here's their little spoof here. Here's the YouTube video, and it's like kind of like a big joke. You know, they act like a bunch of goofs and goons as this guy's videotaping. It's like a documentary type of thing, but they act like they're stupid. Anyhow, guess what? So this went off. This was set on December 15th. And they're acting like a bunch of weird idiots, but they're talking about, here it comes out of nowhere, and Bill Gates here is saying that he wanted to become invested. I don't know why they didn't put the closed caption with Bill Gates, and look at that, see in the back of that. Here's one of their little t-shirts they show. So it could just be a coincidence, but they introduced that little story, making fun of everything, and then December 16th, that's what happened. So I'm just looking at a couple things here. Here's Forbes, blockchain turns Pied Piper's internet fiction into reality. This is March 26, 2018, in the hit HBO show Silicon Valley. The fictional startup Pied Piper pivots to create a new internet that uses a peer-to-peer network built on top of people's smartphones. Also looking at the anagram for PiperNet, which they were talking about, to launch tomorrow. PiperNet is I-perpent, could it be I-serpent? Or Pipe, our net, remember the Project Pipeline, inject people, RIP. Now here's a strange December 20th, 1999 article, Pied Piper of Technology. And in this article, I can just leave a link, but the name Bill, which is Bill Joy. So he's the co-founder of Sun Microsystems. Sun is another code word. You got Sun's chief scientist. Just all the words they have in here. The word freedom, breadth, hammer out compromises. They also talk regarding Microsoft's Windows. They talk about Java, and Java is involved definitely with, and so is Microsoft, with Bill Gates. Anyhow, they go on to move on to other undisclosed software projects. Secrets. Joy's secret weapon also. They talk about precipitation, populations. In fact, it said small populations, and AT&T. I'll leave this article just because there's a lot in it. You've also got Stanford. Here's an article in Church Leaders. I guess it's a magazine and online something, but technology, the modern day Pied Piper. And of course they show this child totally entrenched. November 1st, that'd be 111. And they do too also talk about the children that were led away from a village to their destruction with the spells of a musical pipe. Is technology today's Pied Piper? They talk about the kids' loss of sleep, distracted driving, loss of hearing, loss of relationships, which the computers and the video games, 33% faulted video games. But this basically says companies spend millions and millions of dollars every year to make sure their technology woos us and our kids to it, like the original Pied Piper. Those kids were never seen before, just by the way. Do you know how many times I've seen specific like code word kind of things that always seem to come back to some movie, song, Hollywood something, entertainment. The entertainment business somehow is always involved with these code words and their little titles that are hidden with other meanings. Silicon Valley, season 5 finale. Do you know what 5 is? So 5, when we spell it out, 5 is ray of a light beam, the all-seeing eye. And the symbol in English gematria is 5, is Mr. K, because this has the 42, Mr. K. Remember that? Mr. Kamala, remember? Malaria Shark, Sharia Devil Mark, Kamala Devi Harris, Sharia Devil Karma. Just wondering if anyone's paying attention to this. So going back to this ucsb.edu advanced search thing about, here I'm looking at Biden and all these LGBTQI things. I mean, he has so many executive orders for this. It just goes on and on. There's Joseph Biden. I mean, what's with all these executive orders for this? But regarding executive orders and stuff, there's even a scarier thing going on with all the stuff that Trump signed regarding the 5G. He's making sure that we win the race to 5G. Really? You know what that's going to cause? I'll leave you guys the link to this because it's interesting. You can search what people were pushing, what kind of orders were being pushed. Anyhow, back to Sereno Valley here, as far as I'm concerned, they can completely burn down. So we'll just leave it on this, but I think this is interesting. Everything they show you, watch the water, people. Watch everything they do. Don't trust any of them. Oh yes, so I'm just going to go back to this real quick. So just look real quick when you see things. Try to do a really quick search on the numerology, and this is Yolo County Fire. There's road 99E. E can be energy, and another E, 11. So looking really quick here, 11 is also Cove Fifi. One of these pictures, it involved a truck with just people standing around. It's called Zamora. You got these firefighters just standing around looking at stuff, doing nothing but Zamora. Zamora, when I looked at that, end of existence, and Lucifer, because I looked at the whole numerology. End of existence, Lucifer, just because it's convenient with what's our kind of matches with what's going on now, what their agenda is. And YOLO is Matrix. These are just some options: Matrix, water, and satanic. And of course the whole world is focused on this right here in Ukraine. And there's our money. See our money bag there? So there's a lot of activity over here, and we're funding most of it, I bet. I think 56 billion is what I saw yesterday. Infrastructure. Yeah, what about our infrastructure? But wow. Okay, so anyhow, they're seeing some activity, which is not all of what you are being told. So anyhow, for now, bye you guys.